The day is finally here, where the much anticipated Shamshera starring Ranbir Kapoor, Sanjay Dutt and Vaani Kapoor has released. Directed by Karan Malhotra, after a very long time, Hindi cinema is producing a balls-to-the-wall mass commercial story, for which there has been an absolute dearth, at least when it comes to Hindi cinema. Even though there was a general shift of mood among the audience from the teaser to the trailer, oscillating between absolutely being stoked to conscious enthusiasm, the marketing, trailer and music of the film has fairly led to a positive response among the audience. Shamshera focuses on the history of the Khmeran tribe that were pushed away from their own land due to Mughal invaders and found themselves dwindling in population, only to find some form of solace in a new land. To the misfortune of the displaced tribe, they are mistreated and considered as the bottom of the barrel in the caste system, causing for them to retaliate as dacoits and loot the rich that treated them as lowlives, led by their Sardar Shamshera, played by Ranbir Kapoor. How several conflicts with the imperialist forces, led by the conniving and sadistic Shudd Singh, played by Sanjay Dutt, leads to the Khmeran tribe being misled and becoming slaves to the system, ties into the timeline of the film 25 years later, as Bali, Shamshera's son, understands who his father was to the tribe. Acknowledging this, Bali undergoes a transformation, meeting Shudd Singh head-on only to become the messiah for the common people of Khmera, just like his father. The story of the chosen one and the battle against oppression and injustice for freedom forms the basic storyline of Shamshera. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of the film so that you guys can ultimately decide whether to watch Shamshera in theaters or not. There is no way I can outrightly call this film a good or a bad film. You have to bear with me as there are many nuances that have to be fleshed out in this review. So let's go. The music. If there is one thing I can wholeheartedly confess to, is that the music album of Shamshera composed by Mithun ages like fine wine. It's one of those albums, the singles of which you initially dismissed as just about okay, and further listening to those songs you really start to appreciate some of the numbers. I initially found Ji Hazur sung by Aditya Narayanan to be mediocre because of the unnecessary rap in the middle. I still stand by the same sentiment, but the sense of joy and cheer that is prevalent predominantly in the song really more than compensates for it, accounting for a really great introduction to the character of Bali and his youthful presence. A song that I actually fell in love with over countless repeat value is sung by Arijit Singh and Neeti Mohan. Fitur has this sense of serenity and calmness to the tune that really does account for the perfect romantic track. However, my biggest gripe to some of the numbers, including Fitur and Kale Naina, is that they act like blocks to the screenplay and not actually a progression of events. Hands down, however, the Shamshera title track is what won me over, really encapsulating the overall theme and naturally making you root for the journey of exploration and understanding Bali goes through. It acts as the introduction shot of Shamshera as well, which works so well. The best individual song, Parinda, shines, but the film's distant emotional quotient doesn't make it hard-hitting for the tragic events that are actually showcased. There is also this conniving, almost horror-like background score that is utilized with Shudd Singh that works exceptionally well for the second half of the film. I have to say, Mithun has done a fine job with the music of this film. Halt in the screenplay. The film is 2 hours and 38 minutes long, and you will definitely feel the bumps and cracks along the way, especially in the first half. The film has one of the most engaging first 30 minutes as it explores my favorite character from the universe, Shamshera, and the context of history of the Khmeran tribe, but when Bali starts to get explored, that's where the movie gets a halt in the proceedings. The slow unraveling of a man who is naive and lacks understanding of the history of his own people takes its own sweet time to unfold. The proceedings further get stretched with the music, and the songs are actually the film's best friend and enemy, lending great quality but halting the proceedings as well. This is momentary, but something that you will definitely feel in Bali's journey of discovering his origin story and the moment all hope seems to be lost as Parinda plays in the background in the second half. Cinematography and action set pieces. We often talk about how Hindi cinema lacks the conviction of mass commercial cinema that is essentially needed when movies are presented on such a scale, but what I can surely tell you is that Karan Malhotra is a rare breed regarding the same, because he has made this film solely for a theatrical viewing. There is no way this film has the same impact on an OTT platform. The production design by Sumit Basu and the cinematography by Ane Goswami, the absolute scale in which this film is presented, the frames are actually something to marvel at. The action set pieces will definitely thoroughly engage you. Some of my favorites include Shamshera wielding his axe in the jungle against the British army, the one-on-one face-off of Bali with the British officer as he trash talks him into oblivion, the final sequence as Bali faces off with Shudd Singh, accounting for a great callback to what happened in the first half. This is further enhanced with Mithun's background score that really elevates the quality of the action set pieces. You remember looking at the first look of the train sequence and thinking that this might be really over the top? That sequence really accounts for the most well-choreographed moment from the film. Vaani Kapoor and the purpose. Let's not kid ourselves by overstating what the purpose of Vaani Kapoor in this film is. She is a dancer who performs at shows for the rich and influential. Vaani dances brilliantly and is adept in her role, but I would be lying to you if I said that her character has a purpose beyond an individual that just needs rescuing. She acts as a decoy for various loots that are executed by Bali, and she is utilized as bait several times to lure Bali. She looks magnificent, dances extremely well, which many people will not give her credit for. But in the grand scheme of things, you're not entirely sold on the union between her and Bali, and let's be frank, her purpose is as important and another addition to women in the mass commercial space. The story is of the Khmerans' want for freedom and a destiny to be fulfilled by a son. Vaani is just a very small part of that journey. Dialogues and performances. I have to really commend the dialogues written by Piyush Mishra. They really have these multiple zingers throughout its running minutes. As Shud Singh attacks Bali, who has naive aspirations to become an officer, he tells him, "Patal ka keeda asman ko chhu sakta hai kabhi?" When Ronit Roy's character recognizes the innate ability of Bali, he looks at him in the distance and tells his mother, "हमने तो रात का सहारा लिया था, ये तो सूरज पोत गया सबके चेहरे पर." Several of these moments exist that are not only profound but effective as well. Many people will criticize the portrayal of Sanjay Dutt as a vile, sadistic and evil tilak sporting Hindu villain, but will totally ignore the bandit of good guys also represent a man who sports a tilak. One will casually discount this balance as it won't suit their narrative. Sanjay Dutt absolutely has a ball in this film, laughing hysterically in other people's misery and delivering such a violent, evil and merciless performance. Many people will consider it to be over the top, but the scale and treatment of the film exactly demands the pitch at which the man has performed. Ranbir Kapoor literally gives his heart and soul to the film, and like every other project, shines as a performer. His brooding presence as Shamshera was my absolute favorite, and we weren't lying when we looked at the teaser and said that this is insane. But the character arc of Bali from a naive and unaware to determined and resolute individual is something to marvel at. Both externally and internally, Ranbir hones in on both the characters, as was evident with the trailer. Lack of emotional depth. The biggest demerit of the film is that it lacks in emotional depth, and while it introduces several characters who joins Bali's motley crew of dacoits, you're not emotionally invested in those characters to really root and fear for their loss. These include characters played by Saurabh Shukla or even the mentor played by Ronit Roy. The essential core of the film is the connection between Bali and Shamshera, and this is where the film really lacks in creating that thread. The reason for the brilliance of a film like Agnipath and why it's celebrated is because of Vijay's brewing anger and want to avenge the wrongdoings against his father. This was communicated through every beat of the screenplay. However, the thread that ties Bali to the Khmerans really is loose, really not emotionally gripping you the same way as a film of a bond between a father and the fate that will be completed by his son. This movie is in no way a Thugs of Hindustan. The comparison itself is offensive to the creators of Shamshera, as this product is far superior than that. But sadly, I have to confess that this film is not a home run. I don't know exactly what will be the box office fate of this film, but the effort and vision is clear. It just sadly does not hit the bullseye in being a full paisa vasool experience. A film titled Shamshera, I actually think a scenario where the movie only focused on the storyline of the father, played by the way again brilliantly by Ranbir Kapoor, would have been way more impactful than the loose end that connected the two generations. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about Shamshera. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram, the handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.